Hello everyone, welcome back to I Create For You. Today is Sinister Saturday. I will be coloring in the Mythogoria Poison and Passion book, and I will be doing this page. I'm going to try to do as much as I can to keep you in focus here. Bring you down a little bit. I'll be working on the curtains first, and Mark will be reading you a story in the Very Scary Almanac.
Okie dokie. Picking up where we left off. Frightening facts. Horrible humans. William Shakespeare in Hamlet says, "Oh, villain, villain, smiling, damned villain, that one may smile and be a villain." Murders, real-life monsters, bloodthirsty men and women. Come say hello to some of the scariest people in history you'd never want to meet. I think we've talked about this one before. The Vlada Tepes, the Impaler, 1431, 1476. Ruler of Transylvania, was also called Dracula, which means both the devil and dragon. The title character of the novel Dracula, about the greatest vampire of all times, was based on the monstrous ruler. Known far and wide for his cruelty, Vlada skinned people, cut them into pieces, or buried them alive. But his favorite method of killing was implement. Starting from the bottom of his torso, his henchmen slowly pushed a sharpened wooden pole upward through the victim's body. They did it slowly with great care so that the victim wouldn't die right away. Then the pole was fixed upright in the ground where the victim would die, writhing in pain. Vlada impaled hundreds of people at a time, and then enjoyed dining outdoors among them. When one of his officers complained about the stench, Vlad immediately had the man impaled, but on a higher stake so he would not have to smell the others. Vlada died in a battle with the Turks. His head was cut off and sent to the Turkish Sultan at Constantinople, where it was exhibited on a tall wooden pole. It says here, a terrifying tidbit. A group of Turkish ambassadors did not remove their turbans in the presence of Vlada the Impaler. They explained that it was their custom to keep their heads covered. Vlada reportedly said, "Very well, let me help you keep your custom," and ordered their turbans nailed to their heads. All right, Countess Elizabeth Bathory, 1560 to 1614. Afraid of growing old. Countess Bathory of Hungary became convinced that if she bathed in the blood of young girls, she could stay young forever. For 10 years, she drained the blood of imprisoned girls so that she could take blood baths in a huge iron vat. After one intended victim escaped, the King of Hungary ordered his soldiers to storm her castle. They found the bodies of several girls who had been drained of their blood, along with others who were barely alive but whose bodies had been punctured. Soldiers bickered or bricked up the countess inside her room with only a small opening through which she was given food. There she remained for the rest of her days. Jack the Ripper, 19th century. Jack the Ripper was the name given to the murder of 7 women in London in 1888. He slit their throats and mutilated their bodies. The crimes were never solved officially, and the identity of the Ripper remains a mystery. According to one of several theories, however, the mystery was solved and then covered up. According to this story, a psychic had a vision of a murder that was about to happen, so he went to the police. The police didn't listen to him, and a killing took place just as he had described it. The police paid more attention when the psychic returned with another vision. He told the police that this time the victim would have her ears cut off, and in fact, Jack the Ripper had sent Scotland Yard a letter saying that he was going to cut off the ears of his next victim. The psychic named a famous London doctor as Jack the Ripper. The police investigated, found that the doctor was insane, and locked him away in an asylum. Because the doctor was the Queen's own physician, the royal family didn't allow his name to be released. It was announced that the doctor had suddenly died, and a mock funeral service was held for him. Lizzie Borden, 1860, 1927. On August 4th, 1892, Lizzie Borden's father and stepmother were murdered in an axe-wielding killer. Lizzie was arrested and put on trial. She was found not guilty, but many people continue to believe she committed the crimes because of the compelling evidence against her and because she made conflicting statements under oath. Books are still written about her to this day, 2 in 1992 alone. One trying to prove her guilt, the other attempting to show her innocence. A rhyme was even written about her, which, by the way, is not all true. Her father was whacked only 11 times and her stepmother 21 times. Lizzie inspired the rhyme. Lizzie Borden took an axe and gave her father 40 whacks. When she saw what she had done, she gave her mother 41. I remember that. Ed Gein. Ed Gein was a mild-mannered man who lived in a farmhouse outside Plainfield, Wisconsin. When the police came to his house to investigate a murder, however, they discovered inside masks made of faces of 10 human heads, belts, lampshades, and seat cushions he had made from human skin, a woman's head in a paper bag, and a box of noses. At first, Gein claimed that he simply dug up fresh bodies from the local graveyard, but later he admitted to at least 2 murders. His story was the inspiration for Psycho, the novel by Robert Bloch, and the classic horror film by Alfred Hitchcock. All right, cannibals. This might be the last little fact here, huh? Okay. Cannibalism. The eating of human flesh is a practice as old as man. Below are some of the peoples who have engaged in cannibalism. It is recommended that you go on a juice fast before visiting these places. At least the locals find you plump and appetizing. Peoples and then places. Batak are their enemies, considered all strangers' enemies, sold human flesh in marketplaces. That was Sumatra. Bimian Musmin are captive enemies. West Sepik Province, Papua New Guinea. Dobu are captive enemies. Papua New Guinea. Fijians are captive enemies. South Pacific, Fiji Islands. Gimi ate their dead as part of religious rite. Papua New Guinea. Hau are their dead as part of religious ate their dead as part of a religious rite. Papua New Guinea. Maoris ate captive enemies. New Zealand. Melanesians consider humans a food source called human body long pig. South Pacific. And Tupinambia Indians are captive enemies. 8 captive. I keep saying are captive. 8 captive enemies. Eastern Brazil. Whew, I wouldn't want to go to Papua New Guinea. Alrighty.
Jeez, I can't keep track of everything. I can't remember what all we were listening to. We got Vlad the Impaler. And what do I have to say about Vlad the Impaler? Not a heck of a lot. I'm not really into vampires and such, so I'll leave that one to whatever Mark had mentioned. So we have Lizzie Borden. Well, it seems to me, I think Lizzie may have been guilty, but there may have been mental issues, of course, or abusive issues that had finally took their toll. And I don't know. Those are just my opinions on that one. And what was the other one? Jack the Ripper. Okay. My thing there is that I am surprised. One thing that I am very surprised about is that the psychic was not a suspect, being as he was able to tell what was going to happen next, and then it would happen. So I would have thought he would have been on the suspect list. I don't know what you think, but I would have thought that, because he would seem to say, oh yeah, this person's getting their ears cut off, and then they get a letter that this person's getting their ears cut off. So it's like, I would have looked at him first and then went elsewhere. Like, if you're going to get information from him, keep him at the police station. So when he gets these psychic abilities flowing, and keep him there, and then see what happens. Like, see if they get a letter in the mail, or they get whatever, or, you know, I mean, he could still send a letter, get a letter sent, because I'm pretty sure back then you could take your mail in and say, please don't mail this for 2 days or so, and, you know, boom, then you got a letter sent. So I don't know. My opinion is he should have been a suspect and done the way I said. Would have been the smart thing to do, because he could have just named anybody to take the fall for what he did. Well, just my opinion. Anyway, thought it was also funny that it just so happened he named the doctor to the royal family as the culprit, and he was deemed insane. So I mean, like, I guess I would go crazy too if somebody said, you just killed all these people and you didn't, and you were going to be losing your livelihood. Anyway, and the cannibalism. By the way, these are Color watercolor pencils that I'm using to base this with. Then I'll go over top with Prismacolor pencils to shade in. So the cannibalism, wow, that's just a lot in one place. I mean, how's that not ever looked into? As to, I mean, they got all these facts about how and statistics on it. Why isn't it not dealt with? But I guess if the whole area participates, who do you get to investigate? Because, you know, everybody's got to be in on it. So it's like, then you got to be afraid to walk outside. You got to be afraid to eat anything because you'll look appetizing outside of the place. But if everybody's a cannibal, I mean, like,
There was Ed Kemp.
oh yeah, I forgot about Ed. Good old Ed. I actually pity that guy. I don't think he had a stable life, childhood and home life. I think there were a lot of issues in how he was raised. And sometimes that can be a factor in a lot of killing, people who kill, that abuse plays a part, especially if it's your, like Lizzie Borden, I would think this also, especially if it has to do with parents, and you notice that there is something tied to the parental person in the home. The parental role model doesn't necessarily have to be biological. It could have been stepfather, stepmother, whatever. And I think with Ed Gein, it If you ever see that documentary on Netflix, I believe it was Endgame. He had a thing about his mother. Of course, that's why Psycho is with Norman Bates and stuff. So being sheltered, I would think, would be a reason for him to have those thoughts and tendencies, because some of the women that he dug up or even murdered resembled his mother. And so when she passed, I guess having people and pieces of people that represented her probably was a security blanket for him. No one really bothered with him because he was kind of a homebody, kind of kept to himself. So it was kind of an easy thing for him to do. And I do believe he had a brother also, but his brother wasn't as obsessed about the mom. But then again, I think a majority of Ed Gein's childhood, he wasn't, I think his brother was older, and so he may not have been a constant in the household. So there was no way of him to have socialization with other than his mother. So I do not remember how his father passed. That part I don't remember. But, if you watch that, you can tell his mannerisms and such, he does have a tendency to be more withdrawn and not realize what he did. It was something wrong.
In the new Bates series, the mother was the one that killed his father.
Yeah, well, we watched the Bates Hotel, I think it was, that was on when there was a series on TV, and Mark was saying how toward the end it showed that the mother killed the father. So it like kind of revealed something there, but and that, I think that's why Norman was the way he was. He witnessed it, I believe, and a lot of times you gotta wonder. You don't have to wonder. That if something happens to a person's psyche, it's usually relatable to their childhood, or they would have an accident or some kind of head trauma, and which would trigger a behavior. Like someone could be fine and then all the way into adulthood and then be in a horrific accident or at work or on the road and have a head injury, and because of that they become different and they become a little scary. So it could be that, like they're harder to figure out that those people are liable for what happened, whatever they've done. I'm using Prismacolor 937. It's Tuscan red for the shading on the curtains. Because they had most of their adult life, most of their childhood, not having these tendencies, and they may not have shown too much of the tendencies even though they've developed them because of this accident. head trauma, it may be too late to figure out something went wrong. And they may not look at that person right away because it's just not there. People are like, no, it couldn't have been that person because they're this way, or they don't have a mean bone in their body or whatever. But the medical condition has proven to be a hold on their mind, and they snap, and things that seemed normal before mess with them, and maybe they have other deep-seated resentment or something, or somebody could just say something wrong, or something they watch and they sort of relate to in an evil way, and things happen. I don't think, in my mind, my opinion, serial killers are born. I think they're created. I think they're either a victim of their surroundings and environment and upbringing, or a medical issue that becomes apparent later when it's too late. That is just my opinion on serial killers. So, just from watching a lot of serial killer movies, and I mean, look at Mike Myers, look at Jason. They probably weren't like that when they were born, but because Mike Myers had an accident, trauma to the head, Jason was bullied at camp and a mama's boy. I think it's got to be surroundings. I think it's got to be surroundings, or something that develops later that causes these people to flip a switch and wreak havoc. And that's just my opinion.
Kind of like that story about the two wolves. Which wolf are you?
Yeah, I don't know that they can hear you because I tried to talk to you the other time. he's
what they become. Yeah.
Mark is making some comments in the back, but I don't think you guys can hear him too well. So I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to let it go. I think I'm just going to try to do some more of this on Terrifying Tuesday. I might be able to add some more base color here. I like using the Color watercolor pencils, because it gives you a base of a color that you have in mind, and then all you have to do is go in over, like you could leave this go, get it out later, and you're like, okay, I have green here, I have the burgundy, I have the flesh tone, and you just go over it with your pencils, and I think it goes a lot quicker. So that's what I'm going to do on Terrifying Tuesday. I think I will just base this, so when Terrifying Tuesday comes around, I just have to go in with the Prismacolor pencils and finish them off a little bit. I don't know why I gravitate to like the olive color when it comes to the horror books. I don't know if that's because it's more of not such a bright color, and I always do like the different darker shades. So this one here that I'm using, I forgot to tell you, is PC 911 olive green. And I'll show you my watercolor pencils. That's what that chart that was here for. That was for the watercolor pencils that I was using. I'm just going to go in and do these leaves and then show you the watercolor pencils. And like I said, I will come in here and on Terrifying Tuesday we'll resume this one. And I shall have based it all hopefully by then, if not most of it. I don't think this is going to be a once and done picture because there's a lot in here. And I want to get a feel for the color scheme for the flowers and the bed sheets and all that, because I really didn't have time to think about this, because Mark goes, oh, I have a story ready, and I'm thinking, oh crap. And even though I said to him that I wanted to do it earlier tonight, we ended up around the same time frame anyway. But so I just like picked a book, picked the page that I had picked for August and went with it. And I ended up picking a very detailed page, but like I said, once I go in with the watercolor, here's the watercolor sheet that I have, and then I have all these pencils that once you color them, activate them with the water pen, water brush, and then you have your base already. Yeah, this one's a kind of very detailed. The dress is going to drive me insane. I have no idea what I want to do for her color for her dress, but I know her arms are going to be, because they look wooden, I might do a darker flesh tone on those because they look more wooden than they do. And her one leg looks really weird. Well, this one does too. But still, like one has a shoe on and one doesn't. I don't know what that is. But like I said, there's going to be flowers, her dress, and the bed covers. And then the background. So I'm going to see what kind of color scheme I can come up with, because I really don't like to use the same. You know how some people, like, they'll take the reds, okay, we'll put more reds and oranges and yellows in it. I want to just, like, bring out other colors like purples and blues and things like that. I mean, she's supposed to be a girly girl. So I was thinking I'm going with a darker shade for the curtains, but I want the bed covers to be not really pink. I might go like with a salmon color or something. I don't know. Like I said, I usually gravitate toward darker colors, but like this color I might do for her arms and stuff because it's kind of like a wooden color. Like, and then do this kind of a color for something. I mean, I don't have to have the bed covers and the curtains match. I'm gravitating toward purple for this, and then we'll come up with her dress, and then what the heck do we do with her with the flowers? So purplish, maybe bluish for the flowers. And then we have to think of something. I'm just making a black background. What the heck? Black floor and a black background. Just to make the gray and black for the background and make the colors pop a little more. Oh, we'll see what happens. Hope you enjoyed the fun fact session. Thanks so much for stopping by tonight on Sinister Saturday. And like I said, we'll resume this on Terrifying Tuesday. I am not doing any more backgrounds on a budget on Thursdays, unless I find something that I really want to show you that I came up with or just happened upon. Because it's hard for me to think things to do every Thursday. I've already run out of some ideas. And so Thursdays are going to be I don't know. I might not do anything on a Thursday because I already have another channel I do Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays with. So it's a little hectic doing all that stuff. We'll see what happens on a Thursday. Maybe I'll change it to a Friday. We'll do something like a Frightening Friday thing so I can keep coloring. We'll see what happens. We'll come up with something. True crime Thursday. Who knows? In the meantime, stay happy, stay healthy, stay creative, stay colorful, stay true to yourself, stay kind, because that shit matters. Like one of our friends says, spread that shit. It's free. So, on that note, stay tuned for the next video, and I shall see you then. Thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't, and if you have so far, thanks for following along, and I shall see you in the next video. Bye-bye for now.